Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to the business of your mind. Yeah, I know y'all miss me. I know it's been a long weekend. If y'all on my personal Facebook page, I was yesterday I was dealing with my baby boy. He was in the hospital with pneumonia, and a lot of you all sent me out your love, regarding, make sure that he was okay. That was a tough, tough situation. And now, I get a email earlier today from the school saying that we got a tropical storm coming to Atlanta. 2020, can you stop? Can you slow down? Give us a break. Good gracious. Well, we that is not what we're talking about today. We got a lot of phenomenal things we're gonna talk about today. I got a very good friend of mine, somebody that keeps me out of trouble. Uh, and a guy that I admire and respect and has a wealth of knowledge. And on this show, everything is about the mind, and we're about to get in your mind right now. And he don't know he got to do this, so I'm letting him know he's watching right now that at some point in this show, you're gonna have to do this exact same thing, Dr. Jackson. So just get ready, And we do judge. We are kind of like Showtime at the Apollo on here when it comes to saying the business of your mind. If you don't come with it, Sandman come out on you and all that stuff, So you just better be ready for it because we gonna judge you, brother. It's all love, but we gonna judge you. So, you don't know if you need to go get some Gatorade or, something to get, 5 hour energy. Because I know you've been working all day, you're a hardworking man, But today, we are going to be talking about things like triangulation. Also, this brother and I talk about a lot of concepts and things that you don't even think about the impact of your family on your just who you are. You just really don't. Also, we're gonna be talking about something called the end game. The end game, y'all see. I think y'all now right now y'all thinking about superheroes fighting each other, which is close. There was an end game, but he made half of them disappear, and we ain't talking about that. We're talking about your end game. What do you want to do with your life? What's your purpose in owning the business or having kids or having a marriage? What's your end game? Are you just walking around here willy nilly, just, hey, I'm here and I'm going to leave one day and that's what it is? Or do you have a real plan for your life? I ain't got the answer. Well, I got some answers. I think I'm a pretty smart guy. But this guy, Dr. Jackson, he's got the master plan, and we're gonna be doing some great stuff together in the future. But without further ado, I know y'all like, I did not get on here. I like hearing you talk, but I know you got somebody else that is much more impactful and smarter than you waiting in the wings. So this brother for over 25 years is a thought leader, business partner, change agent, educator, and coach. Rodney Jackson has positively influenced individuals and business leaders to achieve, including myself, greater effectiveness in optimizing performance and introducing efficiencies, growing and expanding their organizations, facilitating complex problem solving, and driving change among functionality. Functionally, culturally, and philosophically diverse teams or organizations. See, he even write too intelligent for me. But his lengthy career in the church ministry began in 1982 when he joined Gospel Tabernacle Church. Rodney created a vision, goals, and plan that facilitated his journey along a diverse yet progressive career path, culminating with his appointment as the organization's president and chief operating officer. Rodney has played a large role in Gospel Tabernacle's growth, helping to transform it from a small storefront worship center in a vacant shopping mall into a vibrant, purpose-filled, and service-driven organization with multiple facilities and a renowned portfolio of ministries. Rodney factored primarily in the acquisition, planning, and development of the organization's facilities, guiding church elders in selecting the appropriate space to meet current and future needs and in planning how the space could be used. He also used his keen business financial acumen, I do know that word, y'all, to capitalize on opportunities to purchase investment-only properties that help restructure organizational debt and created ongoing revenue streams. We know we talk about money in the mind around here, so we got another one on here, y'all. Y'all want to get wealthy? Y'all in the right place. In addition to creating and strengthening the church's financial and operating position through his strategic, forward-thinking leadership, Rodney has been instrumental in developing core programs and services that have produced a significant positive impact on the church membership and those whom it strives to serve. For his efforts, he was named one of the top 50 ministers in the United States by Upscale magazine. We don't bring no slouches on here, y'all. In 1992, Rodney joined the teaching faculty of Beulah Heights University and was subsequently named Dean of Extension Programs, a position in which he drove increases in student enrollment through the launch of extension programs and the religious tracks and the religious studies degree tracks. Rodney's value to Beulah Heights is well documented, and he was awarded the distinction of being named the Teacher of the Year for 5 of his 10-year tenure. He's a bad mother. While he was always acted as unofficial consultant and business advisor to many who have crossed his path, Rodney formalized his desire to transition into business, consulting with the launch of his. Hold on one second. Consulting with the launch of his consulting practice, Be Transformed Incorporated, in 2006, Rodney draws upon his multidisciplinary background to serve nonprofit, philanthropic, and faith-based organizations, providing invaluable guidance to the executive leadership of a myriad of organizations. Leveraging his expertise in organization development, change management, business development and expansion, and financing to assist in meeting and exceeding the organizational objectives. As a confidential advisor and coach to executive leadership groups, Rodney demonstrates an innate understanding of key business drivers. Most importantly, Rodney is highly effective at leveraging his extensive education, experience, knowledge base in driving organizational effectiveness and performance improvement to effectively align organizations and their resources with stated objectives in order to achieve optimal results. Rodney's academic credentials include a bachelor's degree in accounting and business administration from Morehouse College and a Master of Divinity degree in Christian education and counseling from the Interdenominational Theological Center and a doctorate in psychology for all you crazy listeners listening. He can also diagnose you with your ailments and help you out a little bit. In organizational development from the Marshall Goldsmith School of Management and Alliance International University in Fresno, California. Without further ado, and this next statement is no homo, but this man is a bad mother, sexy for all you ladies out there. And I don't need to say that. But this is a bad man about to come on this screen, and I just want to introduce my brother, Dr. Rodney Jackson, onto the show.
Thank you for me. It's great to hear you. I got to change the bio. That's too much information.
It's a lot, man. But man, that's you on paper, and I really had to put it all out there so that everybody could really understand how important it is and how blessed we got to have you on the show.
Yeah, well, let me just update one part. Now I'm the academic dean at Beulah Heights University over leadership and business, over all the academic programs. So that's where I am now, transitioning out of pastoring to totally in education.
See, I told y'all he's a bad mother. Y'all look, hey, y'all may want to bring out your Trapper Keepers. Y'all remember Trapper Keepers? Y'all remember the Trapper Keeper notebooks in school? Bring out your Trapper Keepers and your college rule, wide rule notebook paper, and your recycled copy paper and everything else you got, because I assure you that there will be plenty of note taking and dime dropping opportunities on this show. So, Dr. Jackson, how has your 2020 been, and what are you seeing as it relates to like
Mm.
people dealing with one of probably, if not one of the most uncertain years in the history of the world, in my opinion? Definitely a year that has that like everybody's just afraid of everything.
Yeah, it's you know, I have had the opportunity to see it up close, and I think that the biggest thing for me in watching and observing is that the majority of people have not been handling it very well.
Mm,
Because you know, as human beings, we're used to certainty and we're used to habit, but in a time of uncertainty, it upsets our balance. It
mm,
throws us off. So I have seen people struggling with uncertainty and change.
okay. And so with that, I mean, you have a vast background. Not only do you have, the traditional academic background, but you also understand the spirituality behind things. So with that, how like what type of advice are you giving people, that if somebody comes to you, and they're just freaking out like it's the end of the world, and and they're basically giving up because of, or they have a wait until things turn back to normal, which I believe normal is gone. Like there's a new normal, but we ain't. I don't see us ever going back to where we came from, because it's like we're dealing with a disease or a virus that literally does not go away. Like with your flus and your cold, like that stuff is typically seasonal. This thing just stays, and so many people are expecting for it to just to be like the flu. It's gonna come and I'm gonna get a shot. But I mean, how do you do that with something that doesn't go away? So with that, how are you leading in a time of uncertainty?
Well, the way that I lead and this Felipe, you talked about my spiritual background, but one important passage of scripture for me in the Bible is Romans 12:2, where the Apostle Paul said, be ye transformed. Be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed. How? By the renewing of your mind. And that word renewing in the Greek simply means by the deconstruction and reconstruction of how you think.
Mm,
So if you can change the way that you think, you can change your reality. Now, I'm the first to admit changing the way that you think is going to be one of the hardest things that you ever do in your life,
absolutely.
but it's going to be one of the most profound things that you can do for yourself.
Mm,
So I help people to make that mental shift.
okay.
William Bridges write a book. He says it's not the change that do you in, it's the transition. And in that particular book, he talks about the transition being a psychological mental shift to handle a new reality. So I help people at the intersection of changing and making the transition in order to handle this new reality that we're living in.
Mm. Man, and when I tell y'all that what he's saying, when I think y'all thought I was playing, because I do play a lot, but when I say bring out, oh, I got to also bring out your thesaurus and your dictionary, in case he drops some words in there that got, 25 syllables, that you may have never heard before. Cause no, he's a very relatable guy, but um, you helped me through some change. Um, and gave me an understanding and clarity of this thing that we call family and its impact on you.
Yeah.
And I really feel like this year, those coping mechanisms that we either had or did not have are really showing themselves this year because of everything that is happening. And you're seeing things like divorce rates increasing, a lot of people are just stressed and not knowing what to do. So Can I want to spend a decent amount of time today with us talking about some of the concepts and things that mold us to who we are, and beginning with family, because I believe that's where you start, right? Is with that family unit, because that's what the center or the beginning of everything, and how the role of family can help you, can either hurt you or help you in times like this.
Yeah, family, I believe it all starts with the family. And let me just say this, I have three simple steps. And the first step is explore, the second step is expand, and the third step is evolve. So in the exploring stage, you got to go back to your family, because who you are and how you are functioning now was shaped by you in the family that you were born in.
Mm,
The whole emotional process, how you relate, how you disconnect, how you navigate relationships. The only way you're going to discover who you are and be able to break the cycle is that you got to understand the emotional field that you were born in, and that's your family. Now, I'm
mm,
not saying everything that your family did was wrong,
right.
but there are some things that happens in every family that form a pattern of relationship or how you relate, and most of the time you're unconscious that is guiding how you're dealing in the now.
Mm,
So in order to understand that, you got to discover the family that you were born in. You got to discover the relationship patterns, the how the family processed things, where you were in that family, your position in that family. All of that has shaped who you are today, right now, in
mm.
this very moment. And a lot of people are unconscious of that.
So how do you get people to, I guess, to have a greater understanding of the impact of that, and I guess to get out of that? I mean, because you can't change your position in the family, but you can change, I would think, your perspective or the impact that it had on you, because now you understand. Because I know that's what happened to me. Excuse me. Once you showed me my family with all the spokes and wheels and little, and and you show them like, wow, like this is like very eye opening. Like that allowed me to better, first of all, forgive myself,
Right.
because there are a lot of things that we are hard on ourselves about. It's like, pardon my French, but hell, we didn't know no different. Like if you were raised in an environment where everybody smoked crack, and that's what you saw all your life was people smoking crack, you thought crack was the thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
And I always say your family set you up for either success or failure.
Mm,
And you're not looking back for the blame game,
right.
but you're trying to discover what is driving you and how you can take responsibility for how you think about it, how you process it. And
Mm,
that's what expanding is all about, introducing you to new ways of thinking about it. Because if you're going to shift the way someone thinks, you got to introduce them to new mental content
right.
that can shape the paradigm or reshape the paradigm. So it's not looking back for the blame game, but it's looking back how you can take responsibility once you can uncover what is driving you in your choices and decisions in life. So
Mm,
it's about rediscovering, exploring that, exploring um, relationship pattern, exploring how you think, exploring the choices, the root of your choices and decisions. So uh, that's the beginning point. And it takes courage to look back. It takes courage to grow up and take
absolutely.
responsibility for your life. You can't continually blame, because your parents were doing the best that they knew how to do.
Absolutely.
But now, how do I help you take responsibility? How do I help you forgive? How do I help you let go of that? And how do I help you embrace the new possibility for your life?
Mm, Man, you just said a mouthful on that one, man. I know. I used to walk around here thinking that if I was the exact opposite of my dad, that I would be a great guy. But what that ended up turning me into was a people pleaser and somebody that was always trying to not be what he was, but not really being who Felipe was. And Felipe never, never addressed his own needs because I was trying to prove things to women or whomever that
Mm.
I am not like my dad. My dad left me, my dad did this to my mom, so I'm going to be the best man I can be to you, but I ain't asking you for jack because that ain't what I'm looking for. I'm looking to prove that I'm not my dad, but neglecting my own personal needs. And I think so many people do that. So with that, how do you so when somebody's going through this transformation, um what are some of the things that you have found that are helpful for them to not, like you said, not blame? Because I think especially in today's society, like not everybody, but a lot of people want to play the victim. Like we have a lot of like being the victim is like the thing now. If you're the victim, I'm the biggest victim. And but there's nothing liberating about being the victim.
Yeah, it's a mindset. I think that the thing of it is, and when you and I were working together, first of all, you have to discover the emotional process that your parents brought into the relationship, and understanding that emotional process that they brought from their family, and looking at the triangle that you were born in. You talked about triangulation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the major triangle that you're born in is that triangle is the parental triangle.
Mm.
And looking at where you were located in that parental triangle and making sense of how you took a side, either for your mother or and against your father, or
Right.
for your father and against your mother,
Mm-hmm.
and to look at how that intensity of that triangle impacted how you tried to escape it. And as
Mm.
you said, you tried to escape it by saying, I'm not going to be what my father was.
Right.
I'm not going to be like him. But once your brain get hardwired and you're unconscious to the fact that you're mimicking what you saw.
Right.
So the question is now, okay, now that you see this, do you want to continue this way, or do you want to make a choice? What's the best choice or decision for you that's going to work for you?
Right. Mm. Told y'all was your brain might explode in this episode, y'all. So just be careful. If you got, I see you, Chris Coda. If anybody has any questions in the chat, make sure you're chiming in. We are paying attention to the chat tonight as well. Um, so with that, as people, if you don't, what's the danger in you not? I I want to use the I don't want to use the word catch, but for lack of a better way of saying this, if you don't catch your or catch or change that behavior later on in life, like is that because you hear about things like generational curses, which a lot of times is just generational patterns, you
Yeah,
know,
I like that terminology better than curses.
right, right,
Generational, and matter of fact, a generational emotional process.
mm,
So when we're talking about emotional process, we're talking about how you think, how you react, and how you make sense of your reality.
right,
So, where the danger that if you don't catch it, then you can never maximize yourself. You can
mm,
never live up to your potential. And,
mm,
and and that's what's in danger is you living up to the potential and living a life that you desire for yourself.
mm,
So, taking that inner journey and self-development is something that you have to take responsibility for.
right,
Because you said if you fall into the blame game and the victimization, then you're going to use that to limit your potential that God gave you. You
mm,
know. You can, and the victimization can paralyze you from taking a leap of faith to become what God has created you to be.
The epitome of yourself. I always tell I always tell my clients that, when I'm coaching clients, or um, that one of the things that I believe that every human being has a superpower.
Yeah,
You just got to find it,
yeah,
and I also, with that last conversation we were having regarding the generational patterns or emotional, I also feel like not calling it a curse gives you control, because a pattern you can change. A curse sounds like something that I am supposed to be in because I've been cursed. But if you are able to identify, and the reason why I'm like this is because my grandmother's mother was like this, my
yeah,
grandmother was like this. That's not a curse. That's something that you just need to break. Just like I hear people, talk about, I'm predestined to have a certain disease because I ran in my family. Well, if you keep eating like you were raised, yeah, you might, now of course there are certain things that are genetic, but a lot of this stuff that we're calling, oh well, my mama, she had the sugar, so I'm gonna have the sugar too, like
yeah,
a lot of this stuff, yeah, if you eat in the same way you ate and she ate that way. And like I remember I was with a young lady, I didn't know, because you remember I was real small when you first met me, and her family put sugar in everything, like sugar in collard greens, sugar in macaroni and cheese, sugar in green beans. I think it was sugar in the sugar. Like it was sugar was in everything, and I didn't know. But her family, everybody was morbidly obese, and that was why, because you put in sugar in stuff sugar don't belong in. Like, but it's like, so it changed my anatomy, because now I'm getting all this sugar that I'd never eaten before in every meal, not knowing it. And all of a sudden now, instead of being 180 pounds soaking wet Felipe, I gained 80 pounds, and unbeknownst to me, because of what was in the food. So I'm mentioning that because when you start thinking about the, you know, generational curses and being predisposed to this, and you even have people in the African American community, a lot of us, racism does exist, but racism should not control us. A lot of times I feel like people want to have an excuse to not do something, so they'll blame it on something else that's external, so that way it takes all the pressure off of them. Because I'm too short, because I'm too tall, because I'm dark, because I'm light, because I'm whatever. So with that, how do you help people become the maximum, the what I call the epitome of themselves?
Well, I start with this premise here, and this is one thing I operate out of. I believe that anyone can change their life. I
Absolutely.
believe that you can change your life, but in changing and how you change your life simply starts with how you think. It
Mm.
starts with the mind. For me, that's the
It starts.
foundation.
Wait, hold on.
Starts with the mind. It starts with the mind.
All right. Just want to make sure.
It starts with, you can't get around that, because uh, it simply comes down to changing the way that you think, and and
Mm.
and, and that's the fundamental principle that I operate from. I don't care what situation you were born into, uh, uh, what color you are. If you change the way that you think, you can change your life,
Mm.
change your perspective. It's
Absolutely.
how you think about it, how you make sense of it, and that's where the conversation has to start with. What are the patterns that you are unconscious to that are driving how you function?
Mm.
In the Black Panther movie, they had a saying, "To be woke." Well, it starts with consciousness. It starts with waking up and realizing I got a choice.
Right.
Got a choice to the emotional process or the multi-generational emotional process that's been driving my family. I don't have to accept that emotional process. I
Mm.
can change it because God gave us the ability as uh, species or created in his image
Right.
that we can think, we
Mm.
can make a choice. So
Mm.
it starts there for me, and that's the point that I work with individuals with is how do you make this mental shift? How do you make this transition? How do you make this psychological shift to handle a new reality?
Mm. And that is when people realize how much power that they have and stop giving it away,
Yeah,
you become unstoppable. And you earlier on, you had mentioned, people, freaking out, about 2020 and people. And my thing is that there are people becoming millionaires every day in 2020. Well, there are people on the other side of the spectrum that are just, you know, that are not looking at this as an opportunity to find yourself, find your passion, find your purpose. They're looking at it as a way to further become a victim. Because of 2020, I can't. Because of 2020, I am, because of 2020, I lost my job in 2020, so I'm not. Whereas you talked about the scripture, and of course, I am not a biblical scholar, so I cannot quote exactly which scripture it was.
Rom- Romans 12 and 2 says, be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed. How? By the renewing of your mind. Now, if I could translate that in everyday language, do not allow this world to shape the way that you think, but
Mm,
to go a radical change process. How? By the reconstruction and deconstruction of your mind. So continually changing the way that you think. We're in a time of uncertainty and a time that change is taking place, but most people resist the change
right.
because they want to hold on to what is comfortable, what is habit, so that
Right.
life can continue to be the same. But God created us as evolving creatures.
Right.
So we are evolving, we are growing. And when you stop growing, your opportunity stop.
So I have this thing that I honestly believe is that there is no such thing as this. You either you either going in a positive direction or going in a negative direction. You're going up or down, right or left. There's no such thing as your life just being flat, where you're just in a neutral space because either you're growing or you're regressing. There's no such thing as I have learned everything I'm going to learn and I am just here coasting along in life. It doesn't exist.
Yeah. When neuroscience, the study of the central nervous system, of which the brain is a part of that,
Right.
says that the brain never stopped growing.
Mm,
That you continue. We think that once we become an adult, that
right.
the brain stop growing, but it doesn't stop growing. The more you give yourself new experiences, and the more you open yourself to new knowledge and new information, it continually expands your brain.
Mm,
So there's no such thing as reaching a plateau and that's it. There's always new discoveries, new information. Matter of fact, looking at the learning curve or the knowledge curve, knowledge is doubling at an incredible rate
mm,
now. It
absolutely.
used to double, every 5 years. Now it's doubling every 13 months. So the
Wow.
information you had over the past 13 months is outdated now. So we continually have to avail ourselves to new information. You can't think critical if you don't have the right information to
Absolutely.
make sense of your reality. As you said, there are millionaires that are being birthed. There are new industries that are taking off
Absolutely.
in this pandemic, but those new industries are taken off by individuals who can see beyond the present reality
Absolutely.
and see into that which does not appear with your eyes. As a matter of fact, you don't see with your eyes. You don't
Mm,
see, your eyes just simply gather the information and transmit it to your brain, and your brain tell you what you're looking at. So you really see with your mind and not with your eyes.
with your mind, y'all hear that? You see with your mind. I know he ain't doing it right, y'all, but it's all right. That's all right. We'll forgive him. But
I'm from the South. I can't do
but yeah. So that's one thing that I learned, through all my trials and tribulations, especially 2018 when God just got me quiet. And on the show, I tell you, God, the universe, whatever you subscribe to, whoever, if you're listening, watching, um, it got me quiet, and it got me to learning out so much about this. And when I figured out how much this controls everything, this is
that. Yeah.
the greatest computer in the universe. Like this thing right here, we nobody knows everything that it's capable of.
Yeah. I agree with you. Think about it this way, Felipe. Brain mind, and I say brain mind because the brain is simply the physical organ that create this activity for this entity we call the mind.
Mm,
But the brain mind is the only organism in the body that can create the experience before you experience it.
wow.
Now I want you to think about that.
Wow.
The brain is the only organ in the body that can do that. They can create the experience. For instance, I always use this example. My favorite dessert is apple pie. And it's an apple pie with the vanilla ice cream on top of it. That the pie is hot enough to melt the ice cream, and the ice cream is melting over the apple pie. Now, just be telling you that situation there, you already have tasted, but it's not in front of you.
Yeah, I'm hungry right now, brother. Like, why you do that, man? We got a whole 40 minutes left.
So so that's the thing about and what most people don't realize about the mind is that you can have the experience before you ever physically have the experience. And that's,
Mm,
the power of positive thinking. That's the power of being able to, from a spiritual perspective, we call those things that be not as though they are. So
right.
mind has the ability to create the experience. And Oliver Wendell Holmes said, a man's mind stretched to a new dimension, it's impossible for it to go back to its old state.
Mm,
So, as you say, when people begin to realize that God gave us a great gift when He created us to be able to make a choice, to make a decision.
mm. Yeah, so many people discount that. And I know, like, when I was going through my what I want to call my wilderness experience in 18, and losing my mom and all this stuff, I started really understanding exactly what you were just saying, in the sense that most of the things that stress us. So stress itself a lot of times
Yeah.
is you worried about something that has not even happened and probably ain't even going to happen. Like things like anxiety. Like, so that year I had never been an anxious person, but that year as my mom died, like, my anxiety was through the roof. And so you're projecting mentally, for whatever reason, our a lot of our defaults is not to project or think about the positive thing that can happen, but the negative thing that can happen.
Yeah, the brain mind is wired to go negative. That's our programming.
Yeah.
Program to think negative.
Right.
From a child up, you start off very expecting things, great things. You talk to a child and they have no limits on their imagination, but they
Right.
get socialized
Mm.
to begin to start thinking in limitation, through school, through family, through all of those social agencies that shape the way that we perceive ourselves. And we
Right.
start limitation. We hear from our community. You can't do that. For instance, you go through school and say you want to be a medical doctor. We're dependent on the school, the teachers, and begin to tell you, well, maybe you might need to think about something else. So we get talked out of our potential or socialized out of our potential.
Right.
And we start putting limits on ourselves. So we have to reprogram our mind. And that's what Romans 12 and 2 is talking about, is this change process is going to come by deconstruction, tearing down paradigms that we have allowed to be developed in our minds, and rebuilding our minds to think and see the impossible.
Mm.
Because as Nelson Mandela said, it's always impossible until somebody make it possible.
Mm.
So,
That's a profound statement.
it's about how do we reprogram our mind, and that's what education is all about: reprogramming your mind. And I tell people all the time, you cannot make change unless you put yourself in a structured environment that's going to hold you accountable to the change process that you're trying to undergo.
Mm.
The caterpillar goes inside the cocoon. It cannot become a butterfly outside the cocoon. It
Right.
becomes a butterfly in the cocoon. So that's that structured environment where transformation and change can take place. So you got to commit to a structured environment. And I was talking to my nephew, and I told him, I said that anything you want to be successful in, whether it's finance, whether it's physical, whatever the area, you got to put yourself in a structured environment where the information that you need to make the transformation in your financial life, in your physical life, in your relationship life can be communicated to you.
Mm.
So you need that structured environment that's going to hold you accountable to the goals that you're trying to achieve in your life.
Mm. Preach, brother. We thinking about raising an offering for you. I think somebody put it in the chat. Uh, but
Just having a conversation. We're having a crucial conversation here.
no, this is good stuff, man. And it's like, one of the things that I started to understand and learn was that the same energy that you use to have those negative thoughts, if you transform it into positive energy, it's just like all that bad stuff was happening to you. You
Yeah.
start having positive thoughts, all this good stuff is gonna start. Like it's just the way that it works. And we released a video maybe about a week ago where we talked about people's mindset.
Mm.
And if you're constantly saying that, I hate going to work and my job is horrible, or, I've got the worst spouse in the world, or my kids are bad and all this negative stuff. And guess what? All you're going to see is how bad your job is, how much money you don't have. Like, I don't come around me talking about you using the B word. I don't care how much money you think you don't have, don't ever say that, because what you're doing is that, and that's biblical too, right? Is that we were the world the world was spoken according to the Bible. So what we say is is what we're going to have. So if you're constantly speaking, because again, your mind does not understand what's a positive or a negative, as far as if you say I am broke, I don't have, your mind takes it as a command.
Well, it's not only biblical; it's scientific.
Right. That's right. Right.
It's scientific that your cell, every cell in your body, listen to the way that you think. It eavesdrop on your thinking. So it's it's not only impact you at a psychological level, but it impact you at a physical level. That's the reason you have terminology psychosomatic, which means that somatic means that the soma, the body plays a part in the illness, and the illness is what the body is following the instruction of the mind of how you're thinking. And it's been proven that patients that have cancer that had a positive attitude, most of the time they were healed from their cancer or they recovered. A person having, doctors in the emergency room did a study where individuals who came in who had a cardiac arrest that they helped recover. But you know what they discovered is that that individual would be back again because that individual would not make the choice or the decision to do what it would take to keep him or her from coming back to the emergency room with the same issue. So it starts, it's with, your thinking, how you're processing it, because every cell in your body eavesdrop on your thinking. And it's going to produce that result.
Right, because it thinks that you're giving it a command. Okay, you, all right. So you want me to go out here and all right. So we ain't got no money. All right. So I'm not attracted to anything. There will be no opportunities for you today, sir. Because that's
life is about. It's not about if it's going to happen to you, but life is about how you respond to it.
Right.
The decision, choice, and how you respond to it. And sometimes we don't make the right choice and decision. We see it as a negative, but then with the right mindset, since you mentioned mindset, the right mindset said that this is simply just a stepping stone to bring something great out of me. It's all in how you think about it. It's all about your perspective. And I believe that everything is about your perspective, how you perceive it, how you process it is the key to how do you navigate life? It's not that things are not going to happen. They're going to happen. I tell my students in the PhD program that when I have the open conversation, I say the first thing I want you to know, life is going to happen.
Absolutely.
And I said, now I want you to know that over the next 3 years while you're in this program, life is going to happen.
Right.
But the question is, how are you going to respond to it? How are you going to stay focused and keep pushing through? Because I don't want you to think that just because you're in this program, life is going to stop.
Right.
But it's going to happen. You're going to have challenges. You're going to have things that happen. But focusing on completing the goal and how you respond to it is what you got to master in order to achieve what you come here for.
And another video that we released was dealing with the greater the setback. The greater the setback, the bigger the comeback. And where I got that from was one of my mentors that the guy's he's a millionaire businessman, owns multiple companies. And when I went to go meet with him, when I was going through my own wilderness experience again, in 18, his perspective on me going through a divorce, losing my mom, and losing 80% of my income was, he was like, man, wait a minute. He said, you're going through all that at the same time? You have no idea where you're about to go. Like, that's And what I equated that to, and you talk about science and all this stuff being scientific, and that's exactly where he went with it. He said, Felipe, he said, if I gave you a rubber band, put a gym clip in it. If I pulled it back this far, it would only go so far. But what just happened to you was you got pulled back all the way back here. So and the amount of resistance that you have on a gym clip, it goes exponentially further than that based on the amount of energy that you have. And he was like, you've been taken all the way to the end with rubber band that's about to pop.
Yeah.
And you don't realize that if when the universe does that, and then you going back to the Bible again, you look at the story of Job and so when things happen to you, as you said, it's all about perspective. And when he changed my perspective, because I ain't gonna lie, I had a man, what did I do to deserve this? And I started to understand that, man, no, what this is me becoming that diamond I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
This is me, maximizing things. So can you chime in on that a little bit?
Yeah, you just remind me. John Maxwell writes a book that's titled 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And he talks in that book about having a growth plan. But one of the laws of growth, one of the 15 laws, he talk about the law of the rubber band. He said, in order to grow, you got to be stretched. And the thing of it is about the mind is that one of the ways to change the way that you think is that the mind depends upon mental content. And one of the mental content is skill. And experiences. The more experiences you have, it grows your mind.
Right.
In that law of the rubber band, the more you are stretched, the more the potential for you to grow. And as you said, when you got stretched in that situation, it triggered your mind to begin to think and function at a whole nother level. So what John Maxwell said, that you can't grow unless you're being stretched. So, and that's what most people, and that's the reason I love reading the story of successful people. And when you read the stories of successful people, you see that their success didn't happen overnight.
Absolutely. And
their success was full of many adversities and situations and things that they had to overcome.
Absolutely.
But I tell people, you got to fall in love with the process if you want to be successful. And the process, life is going to happen.
And to be honest with you, I actually like it when it happens the way that it did, because that's been my how things happen. Because if it happens drastically, in my opinion, I feel like it's because you're taking drastic action. So because you're like, nah, I'm going now. So for instance, the difference between somebody saying I want to start a business and then they started on the side while they're working at the job and they got the security of the job is only going to grow so fast because you only have a limited amount of energy. But somebody that, like I did, when I first got into financial planning, I said, all right, baby, we're about to move in with your mama. We gonna move in with your mama for a minute. You okay with that? All right, you cool? All right, then, because I'm jumping all the way out, because I would rather get all the pain now in this little small window so that way I can fly, because I know that the pain is only here for a short amount of time. So I'm not, really worried about that. So with that thought process, and you I think you were about to go there. You got to know what the end game is.
Yeah, you got to know what the end game. And another thing too, as I coach people, because I coach, high functioning people, one of the things I always ask them in those situations that you alluded to, what is life trying to teach you? At this moment, what is life trying to teach you? What is life trying to get you to focus on that you might need to change about you? So, and and that's how that question of the end game, because I raised that question, well, what's your end game? What is your end game? And I raised that with students, coming into that I have to advise as they're coming into the university to start their journey. I asked them that question, what's your end game? Where do you want to see yourself 10 years from today? Where do you want to see yourself after your education is over?
Right.
And I raised that question to challenge them. Okay, this is going to end. You're going to graduate, but your end game is going to be for the rest of your life.
Right.
And Simon Sinek, in his book, he talks about the infinite game, and he talks about draws from the game theory, where he talks about there's two types of games that people are playing in their life. They're playing either the finite game or the infinite game.
Mm-hmm.
The finite game is made up of rules that you have a beginning, you have a middle, and you have an ending. And somebody is going to win. It's going to be over. It's much like most sports games. We just saw the Lakers defeat Miami. Well, that was a finite game. It had a beginning, it had a middle, and had an end, and the Lakers are the champion. But
Right.
next year, there's going to be another NBA championship.
Mm-hmm.
So the finite game is played by rules, but the infinite game is not played by rules. And the infinite game is not, the goal is not to win, but the infinite game goal is how do you stay in the game? How do you continue to stay relevant? How do you continue to have an impact?
Right.
So, I try to encourage students, you need to play the infinite game. It's not about winning, but it's about how do you continually stay in the game. So I raised that question, what's your end game? It's as you and I was talking about, was a succession planning for leaders. What's your end game? What does that look like 10 years from today? Because the more you start thinking about that, it's going to inform how you should be functioning right now as you go through this process. So that's just been a critical question for me in order to help me understand that it's not about winning or losing, but it's about how do I stay in this game.
And I often quote you, so I don't know if your ears are ringing from time to time. You get a little, your ears start burning. Somebody, but I quote you a lot because that I remember when you and I were talking about the finite game and the infinite game. That resonated with me because it freed me from allowing other people to control the narrative in my life.
Yeah, exactly.
And with that, once you I'm always now telling my coaching clients and my anybody that asks me for advice that why are you concerned about that person when they're trying to keep you inside of a box? Do you want to constantly be fighting with their perception of what they're trying to do to you, or do you want to truly live? Because the world is much larger than what somebody is projecting onto you. And I've taken some NLP courses and some other courses that have, where now I'm able to help people understand that, a lot of times when somebody is calling you something or saying something about you, it ain't got nothing to do with you. They are projecting themselves onto you and they want you to feel like it's about you, but really it's about them. So don't even worry about it.
Yeah, when you have an end game, you're operating with purpose and
Right.
destiny. And that is what your conversation is all about. But when you're playing the finite game, you're stuck in the right now. You're stuck in trying to compete. Simon Sinek, in his book Infinite Game, he tells this scenario. He had spoken at a Microsoft conference, and everybody at the Microsoft conference talked about how they were going to beat Apple, how their product was the best product, and
Right.
and it was far better than Apple. So he left that conference and got in a cab, and the other guy that got in the cab was a guy that worked for Apple. And he began to tell the guy that worked for Apple that Microsoft, I just left this Microsoft conference, and they say that their product is far better than yours and far superior. And he said that the Apple guy said, it probably is. And he said, he realized in that moment, Apple was playing the infinite game.
Right.
Because what they was focused on was how could they make education more affordable and more effective for inner city kids. Purpose. When you're playing the infinite game, you don't have time for what you think or what someone think about you or how someone is, just because you're driven by purpose. You're driven by destiny. You're trying to stay in the game. You're trying to do something that your name will stay in the game forever. And when you look at successful people, they are playing the infinite game. They're not trying to create something just to make money, but trying to create something that's going to impact the world. And that's when you look at someone like Steve Jobs, his destiny and his impact will live forever. His whole goal is, as Simon Sinek says, that, start with why, was that Apple wanted to make computers fun and sexy. So you see that even though Stephen Jobs has transitioned, and that's what I try to tell Lee, he had an end game. So it's not about, you're not going to be at the head of that organization, a church, or whatever you're doing forever. But what's your end game? What is the legacy you want to leave that will keep you in the game forever? Now that might be a bit too much, but
I'm pretty sure some heads exploded over here. We'll probably be saying Amber Alert. For missing minds, trying to find people's minds after this. But man, that's a
mind.
but that is good stuff, man, because I'm always when you think about, people that operate in lack, that I feel like, there isn't enough, so I got to take yours. But then you look at the world, you look at, did Amazon close Walmart down? You know what I'm saying? Like, did when Tesla came into the market, did Chevy leave? Did Ford leave? Did Mercedes leave? So there's enough for everybody. And that's also what I take from that statement regarding the end game and the infinite game. Everybody, whatever your purpose is, you ain't got time to be worried about the competition. Yeah, you want a piece of the pie, or you want to make your own pie. And I want to make my own pie.
Yeah.
I'm not.
And it's a mindset. I think that's a critical point here tonight, that it's a mindset. And one thing about the biblical text, and that was the reason that drove me into psychology, because I wanted to find out that, people coming to church and hearing all of this stuff preached every week, and yet they're not making changes in their life. And I wanted to find out what's the hindrance here. And that is what led me to seek my doctorate in psychology, because I knew that it had something to do with the mind and how you think. Is for me, that's my answer, is that if I can help you change the way you think, I can help you open up your possibilities in life.
That's basically the renewing of your mind. I mean,
It's been something that I have studied for the past 20 years. And I want to say to everybody out there listening, hey, I get it. Changing the way you think is going to be the hardest thing you ever do in life. I can guarantee you this, it will be one of the most rewarding things that you can do for yourself.
Absolutely.
If you can make a 10% mental shift, it's going to have a great impact in your life.
And what typically does that once somebody makes that shift, what impact does that have on everything around them? I know the answer, but I just want you to
Yeah.
kind of hammer that home a little bit.
I believe that if you want to change a society, change a family, if you can get one person that's committed to making that mental shift and changing themselves, it would upset the balance and change the whole community.
Mm,
It starts, it would begin to impact because that person would be functioning at a whole nother level in how they deal and interact with everyone in there. And when we look at it, Martin Luther King made made a decision about pursuing uh, uh, nonviolent, peaceful demonstration and leading the civil rights movement. He had opposition, but because he made a decision and he stuck to it, now we look at the result of his work still continuing today. He was playing the end game.
mm,
You know, every year we around January and his birthday, we're talking about the work that he's done, that he did. So if you could get one person that's committed in a family, in an organization to making a change or bringing about a transformation, it will impact the whole organization,
mm,
whole community and family.
mm. And what I would say in my experience to that, just to piggyback on that, is that you also, because I'm always telling people, a lot of the old adages that we listen to are, you are the sum of the five people you hang around the most. You're strong as your weakest link. All of that stuff. It also starts to tear away or remove those people that weren't supposed to be there.
Yeah. And I tell people like the brain is a muscle. You have to exercise it.
Hmm.
You have to exercise it every day. And how do you exercise it? By the mental content that you expose it to, by the conversations that you're a part of. If
Hmm.
you're the smartest person in your group, then your group is really limited. Yeah, putting yourself in situations where your mind has to be expand, and that's what I mean by expand, introducing new mental content that can shape your perspective or reorganize your perspective and how you're thinking about something. And then evolving is putting yourself and becoming accountable to a structured environment that keep you growing. You
Hmm.
know, there's no end game to education. Education is for life. you
Just to
can't
the day you leave this planet.
you can't, there's no end game. So you're forever evolving, you know.
Right.
I graduated from got my, doctorate, but education is still evolving.
Right.
The learning curve is that education is doubling so fast that every 6 months you got to update yourself.
Wow.
The new information that's coming out there,
Hmm.
uh, I grew up with, there were no self-help lines in the grocery store. You had to stand in the line.
Right. Right. Right.
But now you got self-help. I grew up where you had to go pick stuff up, but now they delivering stuff to you.
Right.
You used to go to during this pandemic where you used to go in the mall, where I'm discovering the wonders of Amazon. That I can
Right.
get anything
Absolutely.
on Amazon.
Yeah. Basically.
So, so this world is changing. This world is forever evolving. The only thing consistent is change. So
Mm.
either you change or you begin to die.
Mm. Which one you want to do, y'all? Y'all want to change or you want to die? And to that point, with me being in financial services, and working with actuaries and all this other stuff, one thing people don't understand is that often statistically, when people retire within 18 months, they pass away. And the reason for that is because a lot of people, when they retire, it's like they retire from life. And it's like you're telling your body, I'm done. Like I ain't trying to, like, hey, I'm finished with you. So to your point, you constantly need to be learning, evolving, and doing something. But if you look in those cultures, like a lot of Asian cultures where, the mortality might be 90, 100 years old, everybody continues to have a function in that family. And I know we got like 8 minutes left, but so to your point, you should always be evolving and trying to change and trying to just learn because, like you mentioned, I mean, I remember growing up, not going to tell my age, but, growing up, we used to pull up to the gas station, the man come out and pump the gas. When the last time you seen a full service gas station? So what if you didn't know how to use if you know how to pump gas and you weren't willing to change because you were used to going to the little full up or going to the little store that you drove up to and they had the milk and the eggs and all that. I mean, you just think about this stuff. So we got a couple of minutes left. So what do you want? Is there anything that we did not touch on that you want to talk to the people about? We got about 7 minutes left.
Well, this topic, I get excited about it because this is what I have organized my life around, even in the classroom and as a professor, as a dean, and over academics at Beulah Heights University. And one of the things is that I'm there to shift your perspective. I'm not, I tell students, I'm not telling you what to think, but I'm here to challenge you in learning how to think.
Mm.
When you learn how to think and take responsibility for yourself, you open up unlimited opportunities
Absolutely.
in your life.
Mm.
And my 3 simple steps is simply explore, expand, evolve.
Mm.
Explore, examine your life. Look at what has shaped you. Look at how your thinking has been programmed. I'm not saying family is bad, and family, our family does do a lot of good things for us and give us a lot of great values.
Right.
Those things that have hindered you and hurt you, you need to explore that. You need to work through that. You need to uh, take responsibility for moving forward. And the only way you can take responsibility for moving forward, first of all, you got to discover where the landmines are, where the emotional landmines are in your life, the emotional triggers. And then expanding is all about being open to new mental content that can help you transform your thinking, make that mental shift. And then evolving is developing a structure, staying in a structured environment, making a commitment to a structured environment that will continue to keep stretching you and that you keep evolving. So anything, all of the stuff we talked about, if you didn't hear anything else, I want you to hear those 3 words: explore, expand, evolve. And that's that's where I coach from, that intersection of those 3 words, to take you back and to help you understand what happened to you and to understand it wasn't your fault, or help you understand what you need to take. But moving forward is your responsibility. And having a new way of thinking about it, it can help you see something differently that you have not been able to see, that will cause you to move forward. So I just want to leave this audience with that. And, it's just a fascinating opportunity for me to work with people and to inspire people to live their potential, because God put it in us. And you're not going to be satisfied until you're living up to the level of the potential that God has placed in you.
Mm. Man, I was supposed to have a church choir and an amen button this week, but I wasn't able to program the button because I knew you was coming on, so it ain't working. But uh, man, that is some phenomenal stuff, man. Man, shoot, I don't even know, man. I just want to drop the mic on that one, but we ain't, we can't leave like that. We can't leave like that, y'all. I know y'all want us to. But that was man, I appreciate you coming on, man. That was a phenomenal, like, you just dropped so much knowledge on us tonight. So how can the people, if they need to reach out to you, or do you have a presence online? Like, how can but he might, he might be selective now. You don't know. He might be like, hey, look, I just came here to talk. Don't bother me. So, but
No, right now I have presence on Facebook, Rodney Jackson, on Facebook and also on Instagram. And people, I have a contact number. If people want to contact me, they can contact me at 446633367. So again, 446633367. So love to, talk with them if they want to reach out and contact me. But I'm definitely on Facebook and also on Instagram. So looking at establishing a more global platform.
absolutely.
Yeah, but this is what I do. This is my life purpose, is to inspire people to maximize their potential. And it starts with just simply change. It sounds simple, but but it's profound. If you can really grab a hold to that, if you can simply change the way that you think, everything becomes possible.
Man, so basically what he just said, y'all, is that you get the business of your mind right. You would change your whole life. And did y'all see that? I ain't have to change not one cuss word during this show. No, I'm trying to find the unique way to change the MFs and the P's into more, pleasant things. Because I also, Dr. Jackson, you don't know this, but my niece watches the show. She's 18, but she told me that she curses now. And I'm like, wait, hold on, wait, time out, hold on. So, but I want to thank you for coming on the show. I want to thank everybody for watching. And again, this is the business of your mind. I was gonna have Dr. Jackson did it. He did it a couple of times. Unless he want to do it. You want to do it, Dr.
Well,
Jackson?
I got a southern accent, so that doesn't work with me. But I be let me say the business of your mind. Okay, so that's my business right there.
Absolutely. There we go, y'all. We appreciate y'all.
Well, let me thank you for the opportunity to be on here, and I just want to shout out at Beulah Heights University, that's located in East Atlanta, 892 Burns Street. It's a university that's been around for 100 years. We have academic programs in religious studies, as well as leadership and business, and we have a PhD in leadership. And I am the academic dean over those programs. So come by and visit us. Give us a shout out.
Amen. And we are out of here, y'all. Love y'all. See y'all next time. And this will be on YouTube here in the next couple of days. Got you. We love you all. Peace.